And then your TIN number encompasses all that information. When finally URA engages you in terms of filing returns and assessment of taxes,
okay,
the final tax you will pay, the final return you will file, is as a result of the registration process. And so that you don't say that I have been overtaxed, I have been wrongly assessed. No. As long as you give correct information, yes, then it will help URA in management of your TIN and of your tax matters.
Okay.
Yes, so that is the relationship of how you move from URSB, proper documentation. It helps URA to improve that further. And then when you are issued the TIN and the TIN certificate, then you can go ahead and go to a local authority, KCCA, or a local government with this TIN and with this documentation, and then they will issue you a trading license. And then you're fully formalized. Okay.
That was quite detailed. I like it. And then we'll move on to the question of the impacts of having your business formalized as a taxpayer.
Yes.
What is in it for them?
Exactly.
Yes.
When you're talking about impact of business formalization, it's a two-way.
Okay.
One, of course, what is the impact to the business owner? How does formalization of one's business impact the operations that they do? And then the other part of the discussion is also, how does business formalization impact the economy, okay, the country as a whole? Because this is a two-way. The economy drives the activities that happen in the country. So government needs to know. So let's go in the first discussion. How does formalization of a business impact the taxpayer or the business person? One, you are free to operate. It gives you a sense of freedom. You are not hiding from this or from that. If you are not formally registered, you can see, sometimes you see in the news when they say KCC has come, and you see people are running around.
Yes,
and then when you reach the other corner before you are sitting down, then they say the URA people are coming from this side.
And people
then you run
the
back
side.
on the other direction.
Yes.
At the end of the day, you are not doing business. You're just running around.
And you're also not settled.
You're not
mentally,
settled. Yes,
physically.
exactly.
You have to run up and
down. So business formalization just gives you the freedom to operate.
Okay.
That is very important. Then two, business formalization, it helps you to improve your business. It helps you to open your barriers, because with business, you need information.
Yes.
You need information about the markets. You need information about the expenses, where the costs, the expenses. You need information about everything. Business is dynamic.
I think also you need the network to
Exactly.
be able to carry out your
Exactly.
business successfully.
So if you are tied and you can't move because you're not formalized, your business cannot grow. But when you're formalized, you can walk to any office and get information. You can walk to investment authority and get any information that you need to put in your business. So formalization helps your business to grow.
Yes.
Okay, and to move. That is for the business person, really, basically.
Okay.
For government, it's also very important to realize that government relies on these statistics. We call it statistical data, national statistical data, okay, for government programs. Let me give you an example. Ministry of Finance, working with Bank of Uganda, they regulate our fiscal policies, the fiscal decisions. For example, how much cash do we need to inject to the economy? How do we fight inflation? Which area of the economy do we give more financial support? And so forth and so on. Bank of Uganda and the Ministry of Finance, to take such decisions, they need accurate national statistics. Yes. For example, now they say the economy is operating at 56% of the economy is informal.
Which is actually a big number.
Which is a big number, and then the decisions that are made are only for the 44%.
Yeah.
Okay. And so government has to make decisions depending on the data which we have. But for example, if 100% of the economy is formalized,
Yes.
it will be easier for government to take decisions. But again, secondly, government programs. Let's leave alone the physical policies and the Ministry of Finance. Government programs.
Yes.
We're talking about EMIOGA, for example. We're talking about the parish development model and all these programs that cabinet tries to put together. It's about businesses. It's about livelihoods, household incomes. But then if we are not registered, it becomes difficult for them to plan for us. You see that? So that is the impact. If the businesses are registered, it becomes easier for government to do accurate planning.
Yes.
And therefore, we report to Ministry of Finance
Yes.
that this is how our taxpayers have been performing. Have they been performing in a lot of losses? Have they been performing in a good profit margin and so on? Where there are challenges in terms of performance, business performance, government is interested because they want to know how can we help this sector to improve. And so, but then government cannot have this information if first of all they are not registered formally. So that is the impact. Business formalization has a huge impact in how our economy operates.
Okay, and now it's run. Yeah, that was quite in-depth. So would like to know, again, what are the advantages? You've explained the impact in its nitty-gritties and how practical it gets. But then now we are moving from the impact and we are looking at the advantages of formalizing businesses in Uganda. What would you tell a taxpayer out there? What is something that they can take home from this show and say that because of this, because Peter said this, or because I have learned this from this show today, I'm going to formalize my business? Looking at the big range and number of 56% of the informal sector in Uganda.
Very good question. Business formalization definitely comes with benefits. Let's start from the registration bit of it.
Yes.
With URSB, what happens is you reserve your business name.
Yes.
There's a reason why you have a business name. Maybe it is an advantage. It's an advantage. It has an edge. Let me explain that. If I am the Muluana family, for example,
Yes.
and we've been in business for the last 50 years,
Okay.
I use that name as my business advantage. If Elizabeth came and took that name and registered, they will take that advantage from me and they can produce similar products.
Okay.
So by protecting my business name, I am protecting my business. I'm protecting my empire. That's an obvious advantage.
Yes.
You have to own your business and you have to identify with your business.
Okay.
So it's good. It's a marketing tool to be known at what you're doing. Anyhow, but going forward, like we said, you can get any business information that you need from any office in Uganda.
Okay.
You can go to the Investment Authority, you can go to the Uganda Revenue Authority, you can go to any government parastatal and ask for this, and they will identify you, and they will give you the information you need.
Yes.
Also, for example, the TIN. What are the advantages of having a TIN? Of course, with a TIN, inside the TIN, there are benefits that accrue. For example, if you have withholding tax credits, okay, the way we operate in URA, and this is what we call withholding tax credit.
Yes.
If you contract, if you win a contract, and the person you are transacting with is mandated to withhold 6% of the gross payment and submit to URA. At the end of the financial year, when you're submitting all your accounts, that 6% is a credit to you. It's like you paid tax early, okay? So URA will give you back that 6% worth as a credit to you. But if you were not registered for TIN and URA finds that you're transacting business you wouldn't get any credit. You'd get a penalty. You'd get interest, and so on. So those are the opportunities. For example, the question of when you're doing business, there are some deductions, expenses that the law allows for you. Okay,
Yes.
say you are operating transport business, whatever business you are, you do. You have your purchases and so on. Then you have your expenses, salaries, and so on. The Income Tax Act allows you some deductions, like some part of your expenses allowed to you to be able to support your business. For example, rental. Those people who are registered for rental, government exempts you 75% of your rental income. Okay. They're embedded in the law. You can only get these advantages if you're registered for taxes, if you have a TIN. If you're not registered for taxes, and for example, government discovers that you have been having rental income and you're not registered, the treatment would be different. You would not receive these benefits. You'd actually receive penalties and interests and so on and so forth. Also, government provides for tax holidays where necessary in accordance with the law, depending on your nature of business, depending on which sector you're operating. The law provides for tax holidays. The law provides for tax exemptions, okay? And all these are within the law. But all this can be a benefit to you only if you are formalized, only if you are registered. And for example, again, for the importers, you cannot import, you cannot cross your goods into the country if you are not registered with URA, if you're not formalized. Furthermore, our taxpayers, our importers, under the customs regime, there is a way they are categorized, depending on their level of compliance. If URA customs thinks that your level of compliance is good, there's a certain form of treatment that they give you.
Okay.
The number of checks, a few, and so on and so forth. But if URA customs thinks that you may not be compliant, you're not registered for TIN and so on, you do not get those benefits. Okay.
Yes.
So, for example, contracting. If government has advertised tenders and contracts, not only government, international organizations and so on, they wouldn't transact with you if you're not formalized, if you don't have a TIN, because they will require a tax clearance certificate from URA. They will require a license, say from Investment Authority or from the Ministry of Trade and so on. So you lose the opportunities that come with dealing with government agencies and international organizations. You lose big business, you know. So at the end of the day, in the economy in which we are now, and going forward, it really becomes unavoidable to formalize your business, get a TIN, and get registered.
Yes, thank you, Peter. Now, you've mentioned the tax holidays, you've mentioned the tax exemptions, and these other benefits like having a tax clearance certificate that allows you to do business with other businesses and to also be able to network and have information exchange between your business counterparts. Now, if someone is watching this show and wondering, how do I get these tax holidays? I've been in a formalized business, say for maybe 20 years, for example. How do I go to URA and get this tax holiday? Maybe because they need it, yeah, or they feel like they deserve to have a tax holiday or exemption. How can they go about it in a formalized business?
Very good question. In as far as tax holidays are concerned, these are provided for in the tax laws.
Yes.
Okay, these are provided for like tax exemptions. Let's start with tax exemptions, for example. Income tax. There's what we call income tax exemption. That one is provided for a company or an organization that has been in existence for at least 3 years,
Okay.
and you've been remitting your returns, and URA deems that you're compliant, you are eligible to apply for income tax exemption.
So what do you do?
So what happens is, usually it's very important to go to your nearest URA office
Yes.
to get guidance, because it has quite a long process. But this is what happens is, from your TIN and login, you can access income tax exemption within your TIN and login. There's a form. There's a form that will be provided to you, where you enter details, your details, the TIN, the directors, what you do, okay. A lot of details is asked. Your books of accounts, okay, will be expected. So there's a form that they'll give you for income tax exemption. It has quite some details that you have to input in that form.
Okay.
After you input those details, you submit that file to your tax office. If you are in Kampala East, or wherever, if you're in Jinja, and so on, you submit your tax office. The tax office will receive that application and vet it. At the end of the day, the issue is, if in the last 3 financial years, URA finds out that you have been compliant, then what happens is, for 2 years, you'll be awarded an income tax exemption, okay?
Okay.
That means that you will not be liable to income tax, okay? For that specific application.
Okay.
And for 2 years, you'll not be liable to income tax in accordance with the law. The law prescribes which companies or which entities are eligible for income tax exemption. So you really need to get in touch with your closest tax office. They will show you how to access the income tax exemption form, and then they will guide you on how to fill it. Once you've submitted, you'll get a reference number, and then regularly you'll just follow that reference number with your tax office, and they should be able to expedite that application and give you the income tax exemption for 2 years, which is renewable after 2 years. That is income tax exemption. For holidays, for tax holidays, I think is provided for by Ministry of Trade.
Okay.
Yes, it is Ministry of Trade that handles that. Depending on, and it really goes to investors, both local and foreign investors.
Okay.
And depending on which sector of the economy you are investing, the Ministry of Trade has the criteria for which they award tax holidays. It's not really for us.
Okay.
Yes, for us it is exemptions.
Exemption.
Yes, we give exemptions.
Okay. Thank you, Peter, so much. I hope our taxpayers have understood the process of getting a tax exemption. Just takes 3 years of good tax compliance so that you're able to also... Okay, Peter, you want to add something?
Yes,
Okay.
I just wanted to mention one thing
Okay.
as we conclude.
Okay.
Mine is really an awakening call. Okay.
Yes.
The other time we had a discussion with some investors from the diaspora,
Okay.
here at URA, and they were asking us how we can avail them these tax services in the US and Canada and so on.
Yeah.
And there's something that I picked from that engagement.
Okay.
They said that in the US, it's imperative that you have to be within the tax laws. If, for example, they discovered you are floating the tax laws, not even your friend would want to get close to you, because that would affect them.
Yes.
But for us here in Uganda, people think that it's nice to float the tax laws.
They even ask you, how can I?
Exactly. And the question is, if we want to be like America,
Yes.
you know, everyone wants to fly to America. And then how can we be like America if we don't do the things that they do? So I think we can make our America here,
Yeah,
you
true,
know,
true.
by you know, doing the right things, getting our businesses formalized, because it is in our whims to develop this country.
Yes.
We already attained the independence in 1962, but we have not yet attained the economic independence, and we are the ones to do that.
Okay.
So my plea is, let's do the right thing. Let's do the right thing. Let's register. Let's formalize our businesses. Let's do a little that we can. All we require is to make that little contribution so that we can be able to develop our country and to develop our America here in Uganda. I just thought that was important.
Thank you, Peter. I actually like the bit where you stressed and said that we can make America here. And I think that's a good one for taxpayers to note, that we can make our own America here. They have tax laws that they comply by. Why don't we also comply with our own and be able to get all these benefits of having a formalized business? Thank you, Peter. Do you have any remarks? Last remarks?
Not really, but then I want to thank you for the opportunity. I want to thank the taxpayers for the resilience. It's not been a very easy year, but we wish them all the best going forward, and we just wish all the best for us. That's all.
There's a question here,
okay.
And I will just look through and pick something someone has sent in. Just had a glitch there. Okay. I'm sure I'll get the question when the person sends it in, and we shall be able to answer it on our different social media platforms. The show has been live on Facebook, on Twitter, and it can still be rewatched even after this live show. It can still be watched and traced back on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Thank you for watching Tax Mchuzi. Have a beautiful day.
Wait, Tabu, tunamaliriza. And what are you doing throwing papers all over the place?
But I can't find it.
You know there is a way of keeping all this in one place and available to you as and when you need it.
I really wish there was one, because the way these invoices grow legs and disappear.
I believe this is what you're looking for.
Now how did it get there?
Tabo! Do you know that with EFRIS, you can stay on track of all your business transactions and improve on your record keeping?
How so?
Kati tuli ku computer with EFRIS. I just search using the fiscal document number and I retrieve the records I'm looking for. Bookkeeping becomes simple after that.
Kapo, awesome, yeah.
I began using URS Kakasa Solutions and now I'm in charge of my business, and you can as well.
Kakasa, be sure you are in charge of your business.
Uganda Revenue Authority. Develop